I'm wondering if you're concerned that communism is leaching into the mainstream media.
On the first question, I didn't hear the comment to which you're referring. I can only assume that Mr. Ross's comment was made in irony, or that it was made in jest or humor, because I just can't honestly imagine any serious person in this day and age claiming to belong to ascribe to an ideology that resulted in the deaths of some 100 million people over the past century.
The way questions get asked of politicians has changed throughout this pandemic. Press conferences are now on the phone lines, and I've spent about 20 hours, just over 20 hours, over the course of the last couple months on the phones with Justin Trudeau and politicians across the country, trying to get in questions that people really need answers to, because the mainstream media just isn't asking substantial questions. I've never been able to get one in, and that all changed today. Jason Kenney took not just one, but two of my questions at a press conference that he held in Edmonton today. Now, I want to go through those questions with you here, and I want to focus on the second question that I asked. You might have heard here at Rebel News just last week, we broke the news that there was a communist that had infiltrated the mainstream media. Tom Ross with 660 News. He's a legislative reporter that many people in Calgary trust and were unaware of the ideology that was backing up all of his news content. He went on a podcast that was linked to Antifa last year, where he admitted very proudly that he was a communist. Listen to this.
You know, he's sort of implying I'm kind of an evil communist by asking this, and I'm kind of a communist anyways, but, you know.
Now, Tom Ross sort of rose to fame a couple weeks ago when he asked Jason Kenney about a Green New Deal, and folks thought that question was innocent enough. They didn't realize that he was pushing his radical red agenda. Now, I asked Jason Kenney about what he thought about Tom Ross coming out as a communist, and I don't think Tom Ross expected for this news to break, because that podcast isn't really very well listened to. But Jason Kenney hadn't heard of this at this point. So listen to Kenney's response to my question.
And several weeks ago, Tom Ross of 660 News asked you a question about a Green New Deal. That conversation went pretty viral, and just a few days after that, he announced on a podcast quite proudly that he was a communist. I'm wondering if you're concerned that communism is leaching into the mainstream media.
On the first question, I didn't hear the comment to which you're referring. I can only assume that Mr. Ross's comment was made in irony, or that it was made in jest or humor, because I just can't honestly imagine any serious person in this day and age claiming to belong to ascribe to an ideology that resulted in the deaths of some 100 million people over the past century.
Now, of course, the mainstream media is absolutely triggered. A Calgary Herald reporter, Alana Smith, says, "It is wildly inappropriate for Premier Kenney to dignify a question by a non-journalist with a response about a particular Alberta reporter's personal ideologies. #ABLech, #ABPolly. Now, Alana, you know as well as I do that you want me banned from press conferences. You want Rebel News banned because of our ideology, because we are conservatives. That's why you just called me a non-journalist. You're a hypocrite. You're a joke." Now, Premier Kenney, I'm grateful that he answered my question. And it's important that Albertans are aware of who is giving them their news. Albertans and Canadians and people across the world who watch me and Rebel News know that we are conservatives. We admit that. We're proud about that. But people like Tom Ross hid the fact that they were a communist. And the people of Calgary deserve to know that. Tom Ross, whether he wants you to know this or not, admitted he was a communist. And Jason Kenney can't believe that someone in the mainstream media would admit to being that. For Rebel News, I'm Keean Bexte. Thanks for checking out our coverage. We have a campaign going on right now called Let Us Report. You can go to letusreport.com. I was actually dragged out of a press conference with Justin Trudeau by my arm. Here in Alberta, Jason Kenney didn't do that, and he actually took my questions, and I'm grateful for that. But we're still waiting to ask Justin Trudeau questions, and there's still a lawsuit going on over that. Go to letusreport.com to check that out.